Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Hamza and I'm a current first year medical student. Now, I know the application cycle is coming around this summer and I was in your guys' same shoes last year. I was applying to almost 40 different medical schools and yet I was still able to submit all of my secondaries to all schools within 1 to 2 days of receiving them. I know what you're thinking, this might sound crazy, but it's not impossible and totally doable with the steps I'm going to outline for you in this video. But before we get into the video, since you guys are already here, make sure to smash that subscribe button so that you don't miss another video on how you can get into medical school on your first try. Okay, so let's talk secondaries. Now, secondaries are very important for the medical school application process because it's really the one tool that medical schools can use to kind of ask you the questions that they want to know about you, aside from what's already on the primary application and your activities list. It's really how they get to know if you can be a good fit for their medical school and how you've kind of embodied their mission throughout your undergraduate career. So for these reasons, it's really important that you submit high quality secondaries and within a very fast time frame. Now, many of you guys might have heard you can submit secondaries within 1 to 2 weeks and you'll be fine. Don't fall for that. You should not aim for 1 to 2 weeks as being your timeline. You should in fact aim for 1 or 2 days because by submitting your secondaries within 1 or 2 days, you're showing medical schools that you're genuinely interested in their program and prioritizing their application. Okay, now let's roll right into my top 5 tips to acing your secondaries. Okay, my first tip is basically staying organized. So for each medical school that you're applying for, I would suggest create a Google Doc. And in this Google Doc, you want to have several things. First, you want to outline what the mission of that specific school is and what their values are and any key buzzwords that they have kind of dispersed across their application. This is going to be very important because you want to, in your secondary answers, embody their mission statement and make sure you're getting across that you fit well at their institution. Then right under that, create kind of a list of big picture bullet points that you want to get across in your application. So let's say you're applying to a specific school that really focuses on helping underserved populations, and maybe you volunteered over the summer in an underserved clinic. Then making sure to put that as a bullet point to remind yourself that when that secondary comes around, you want to get across that you worked with underserved populations and you're passionate about it. And the last section of your Google Doc should just have basically the questions that you got within your secondaries and the character count or word count for each question, so that when it comes time to fill it out, you already have the questions there. And you can pre-write and proofread in that Google Doc before actually submitting it on the secondary application portal. So remember, overall, create a different doc for each of the schools you're applying for with these sections. Okay, my second tip and probably the most valuable one is going to be please guys, pre-write your secondary statements. Now, if you guys have heard of the Student Doctor Network or SDN, these forums actually post what secondary prompts were given each year. So you can see last year's secondary prompts, the previous year's secondary prompts, and so on. So make sure that if you see a school's prompts not really changing over the years, you can go ahead and start pre-writing those. Now, on the other hand, if they do change over the years, like you see that some schools are having different questions year to year, then maybe not focusing on pre-writing those specific questions, but kind of pre-writing on big picture questions that you could be asked. So what are the prompts that you can work on pre-writing? Well, you can work on pre-writing the common theme questions, and these are going to include the why us, or why do you want to go to this school? The second one is adversity or challenges or failure. The third one is diversity, or what makes you unique. The next one is a gap year if you took one. And the last one is leadership. Okay, now let's go into my third tip, which is reusing essays strategically. Now, when you're pre-writing your essays on the common theme topics I talked about in my previous tip, you're actually going to find that a lot of these medical schools ask secondary questions with recurring themes. So for example, one medical school might ask, what is a challenge you faced in your undergraduate career? Another might ask, what is a failure that you've overcome? Now, you need to pick up on these patterns and understand that those two prompts may originally seem different, but they actually have a common theme. And you can write essays that cover both of these topics so that no matter what prompt you get asked, you can reuse that essay for different schools. My fourth tip is going to be storytelling. In your secondary applications, make sure that you are using hooks to grab the reader, because these admissions officers are reading multiple different secondary and primary applications on a daily basis. So adding engaging hooks can really help your secondary essays stand out from other applicants. But before writing really large hooks, make sure you guys look at the character count for each prompt. If a prompt is around 1,000 characters max, these prompts are probably looking for more direct statements, not storytelling. But if you're given around 2,000 characters max for your prompts, feel free to add whatever hooks and stories you want to add to really engage your reader. If you guys are looking for an example, here is one that I used. Then you can follow this hook by personalizing this essay to why this helped you as a future doctor and how it's going to help you contribute to X, Y, and Z medical school that you're applying to. And my last and fifth tip is always, in any secondary essay prompt you write, always tie it back to why medicine, even if the original essay might seem completely unrelated to medicine. So for example, I was an RA, a residence assistant, and I really helped to manage the safety and security of freshman dorms. And obviously as an RA, I had overnight shifts where I had to, help people who were locked out of their room and things like that. And you might originally think, this has nothing to do with medicine. How are you gonna tie that into how it's gonna help you be a doctor? But actually what I did is I tied this into how it's going to help me on call as a future physician. On call, we're working late nights, we're working long hours, and we're helping our patient not only stay safe, but also improve in their condition. So I talked about how being an RA really taught me to be on call and show up as my best self, even, when I might be waking up from a nap or deep sleep. This kind of reflection piece is really going to show admissions committees that you thought through how each of your activities and things you're writing about in your secondaries tie into being a future physician. So those are my 5 tips to acing your secondary essays. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos on such topics. And leave a comment down below if you want me to release my personal secondary essays that help me get multiple acceptances into medical school. Anyways, you've got this, future doctors. Let's keep grinding and get those secondary essays done. I'll see you in the next video.